The year is 2025, a year that many had anticipated with a mix of hope and trepidation. The political landscape of the United States had been tumultuous to say the least, and the return of a familiar figure was about to stir the pot even further. Donald J. Trump, after 4 years away from the Oval Office, has returned. His re-entry into the political arena was as dramatic as his exit, marked by fervent rallies and a campaign that promised to make America great again once more. His victory sent shockwaves through a deeply divided America, a nation still grappling with the echoes of the tumultuous Trump era. The country was split, with one half celebrating his return as a triumph over the political establishment, while the other half braced for what they feared would be a repeat of the chaos and controversy that had characterized his first term. His supporters cheered, seeing his comeback as a victory against the establishment. They believed that Trump was the only one who could challenge the status quo and bring about the changes they desired. For them, his return was a beacon of hope, a sign that their voices had been heard and their concerns addressed. His detractors watched in dismay, fearing a resurgence of the policies and rhetoric that had defined his first presidency. They worried about the potential rollback of progressive policies, the erosion of democratic norms, and the deepening of societal divisions. For them, Trump's return was a harbinger of more strife and discord. Trump's return was not a quiet one. It was marked by bold declarations and immediate actions that signaled his intent to shake things up from day one. He wasted no time in making his presence felt, both domestically and on the global stage. Within days of his inauguration, he had unleashed a flurry of executive orders, policy pronouncements, and international maneuvers, each one bearing his unmistakable brand of bold and often controversial leadership. These actions were designed to quickly implement his vision and fulfill his campaign promises, but they also sparked intense debate and opposition. The world watched, captivated and bewildered, as Trump set about reshaping America's domestic and foreign policy landscape. Allies and adversaries alike were keenly observing his every move, trying to gauge the implications of his actions for global stability and international relations. The stage was set for a presidency unlike any other in American history. With a nation divided and the world watching, Trump was poised to leave an indelible mark on the course of American politics. Trump, a man who thrives on disruption and defiance, had made it clear that he was back to finish what he had started. His determination was palpable, and his supporters were energized by his resolve. But the question remained, would his second act unite a fractured nation, or push it further into the abyss of division? The answer to that question would unfold in the days, months, and years to come, as America once again found itself at a crossroads, with its future hanging in the balance. Trump's approach to foreign policy has always been unorthodox, to say the least. His methods have often left both allies and adversaries puzzled, as he frequently deviates from traditional diplomatic protocols. This unpredictability has been a hallmark of his tenure, making it difficult for other nations to anticipate his next move. From tearing up trade agreements to cozying up to dictators, he has consistently defied the norms of international diplomacy. His actions have often sparked controversy and debate, both domestically and internationally. Critics argue that his approach undermines long-standing alliances and emboldens authoritarian regimes, while supporters claim it is a necessary shakeup of a stagnant system. His return to the White House has signaled a resurgence of this unpredictable and often confrontational approach. Many had hoped for a more measured strategy in his second term, but Trump has doubled down on his previous tactics. This has led to a renewed sense of uncertainty on the global stage, as nations scramble to adjust to his unconventional style. One of Trump's most significant foreign policy moves has been his decision to engage directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This relationship has been a focal point of his international strategy, drawing both praise and condemnation. While some see it as a pragmatic approach to dealing with a major global power, others view it as dangerously close to appeasement. The two leaders, who have a long and complicated history, are set to meet in Saudi Arabia to discuss the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. This meeting is highly anticipated, as it could have significant implications for the future of the region. Observers are keenly watching to see if Trump can broker a deal that would bring about a resolution to the conflict. Trump has hinted at the possibility of a deal that would involve Ukraine relinquishing its NATO aspirations in exchange for a Russian withdrawal. This proposal has been met with mixed reactions. Some believe it could be a viable path to peace, while others fear it would compromise Ukraine's sovereignty and security. This move has been met with alarm by many in the international community, who see it as a dangerous concession to Russian aggression. Protests have erupted in various countries, with demonstrators expressing their opposition to what they perceive as a betrayal of democratic values. The media has also been abuzz with headlines questioning the wisdom of such a deal. Trump, however, has defended his decision, arguing that it is time for a new approach to the conflict, one that prioritizes American interests above all else. He has emphasized the need for a pragmatic solution that would end the bloodshed and bring stability to the region. Whether this strategy will succeed remains to be seen, but it is clear that Trump's foreign policy blitz continues to be as controversial and impactful as ever. Trump's economic agenda has always been centered around his America First philosophy. This protectionist approach, which emphasizes reducing trade deficits and bringing back manufacturing jobs to the U.S., has been a hallmark of his presidency. In his first month back in office, Trump has wasted no time in reviving this economic doctrine. He has slapped tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, two of America's closest trading partners. China, which Trump has long accused of unfair trade practices, has also been hit with new tariffs. These actions have sent shockwaves through the global economy, raising fears of a trade war. Supporters of Trump's policies argue that they are necessary to protect American jobs and industries from foreign competition. Critics, however, contend that these protectionist measures will ultimately harm the U.S. economy by raising prices for consumers and businesses. Section 4. Putin on speed dial. A controversial meeting on the horizon. The world holds its breath as the date of the Trump-Putin summit approaches. This meeting, which has been the subject of intense speculation and debate, is set to take place against a backdrop of global tension and uncertainty. The stakes are incredibly high, and the potential outcomes are varied and complex. Many are wondering what this meeting could mean for international relations, especially given the current geopolitical climate. The meeting, scheduled to take place in Riyadh, has been shrouded in secrecy, fueling speculation and anxiety in equal measure. The choice of location itself has raised eyebrows, with many questioning why Riyadh was selected as the venue. Some analysts suggest that the Middle Eastern city offers a neutral ground, while others believe it could be a strategic move to involve Saudi Arabia in the discussions. Critics question Trump's willingness to engage with Putin, a leader accused of human rights abuses and undermining democracy. The controversy surrounding Putin's actions in Ukraine, his alleged interference in foreign elections, and his government's treatment of political dissidents have all contributed to the skepticism. Many are concerned that Trump's approach could be seen as legitimizing Putin's actions, thereby weakening the global stance on human rights and democratic values. Trump has brushed aside these concerns, framing the meeting as an opportunity to find common ground on issues of mutual interest, particularly the conflict in Ukraine. He has emphasized the importance of dialogue and diplomacy, arguing that open communication channels are essential for resolving international disputes. According to Trump, this summit could pave the way for a new era of cooperation between the United States and Russia. He has suggested that a deal could be struck that would address Russia's security concerns while preserving Ukraine's sovereignty. This proposal has been met with mixed reactions, with some viewing it as a pragmatic approach to a complex issue, while others see it as overly optimistic. The idea of balancing Russia's demands with Ukraine's rights is a delicate one, and the success of such a deal would depend on the willingness of both parties to compromise. However, many experts doubt Putin's sincerity in seeking a peaceful resolution. They point to his track record of using negotiations as a stalling tactic while continuing to pursue his strategic objectives. The skepticism is further fueled by recent military activities and political maneuvers that suggest Russia is not genuinely interested in de-escalation. These experts warn that any agreement reached at the summit could be short-lived if Putin's underlying goals remain unchanged. They fear that Trump, known for his transactional approach to diplomacy, might make concessions to Putin that could embolden Russia and destabilize the region further. The concern is that Trump might prioritize short-term gains over long-term stability, potentially compromising the security of Eastern Europe and undermining alliances with other Western nations. This apprehension is shared by many who believe that a more cautious and strategic approach is necessary when dealing with a leader like Putin. The stakes are high, and the outcome of this meeting could have far-reaching consequences for the global order. The international community is watching closely, aware that the decisions made in Riyadh could influence the direction of global politics for years to come. Whether this summit will lead to a breakthrough in US-Russia relations or exacerbate existing tensions remains to be seen. One thing is certain, the world will be paying close attention to the events that unfold. Section 5. Shaking up Washington. Trump's government overhaul. Trump's disdain for the federal bureaucracy is no secret. He has repeatedly accused the government of being bloated, inefficient, and beholden to special interests. True to form, one of his first acts upon returning to the White House was to initiate a major overhaul of the federal government. Trump has ordered a hiring freeze for federal employees and has proposed deep cuts to a wide range of government programs. He has also announced plans to streamline the federal bureaucracy, eliminating what he calls redundant and wasteful agencies. These moves have been met with applause from fiscal conservatives, who have long called for a smaller, less intrusive government. However, critics argue that Trump's cuts will harm essential services and disproportionately impact the most vulnerable Americans.